Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I have a guest, and I'm going to dual purpose this podcast episode because we get into some great stuff about side hustles. And if you are thinking of having a side hustle, we have another podcast, by the way. Don't you know? It's called Living My Side Hustle. So my guest today is going to appear here on Living the Next Chapter. He's also going to make an appearance over on Living My Side Hustle. Links in the show notes. Duane McHodgkins is here today to talk about how he went from working for somebody else to working for himself, writing a book, and being inspired by all things side hustle-ish here on Living the Next Chapter, and also over on Living My Side Hustle. Please welcome with me today, Duane, to the podcast. Let's get inspired to create our future. And Duane's book, Lessons from the Business Heroes of the Pandemic, is our guide as our conversation continues here on Living the Next Chapter. Thanks for being here. Here we go. A little quote from Duane to start off.
What are you interested in? Whatever you're interested in, go for it. You know, another use of a side hustle is I'm thinking about making a change, but I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. Okay, great. Is it something that you can do part-time while you haven't left what you're currently doing? You can do this new thing part-time to discover if you truly enjoy it and want to pursue it full-time and beyond. So that's another good reason to do a side hustle. So, you know, if you're entrepreneurial, go that route. If you have no desire to go out on your own, go deliver pizzas. You know, they're always looking for pizza delivery people, especially on Friday and Saturday nights. There's opportunities there. Baristas. You know, if you enjoy coffee, you can usually pick up some side hustle shifts doing something like that. So it's endless. It's really, what are you interested in, and go from there.
Okay, welcome to the podcast. We're talking all things side hustle, and my guest today is, well, an expert. Let's just say that, an expert, and I'm so happy to have Duane on today to talk about all things side hustle related and a little bit more about his story as well, and encourage side hustlers out there to pursue your dream and create the company and the business that you want to have for yourself. Duane, welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Can you share with everybody where you are in the world, first of all? I'd love to kind of get that out of the way.
Okay, so I live in a suburb of Denver, Colorado. And right now I'm at a place where I've had my own business for about 12 years. And you know what? I'm loving life.
Awesome. Take me back then 13 years ago, before side hustle / working for yourself was a reality. What were you doing prior to all this?
Okay, so actually I'm going to go back further than that. Right around 2001, I had a job that I really believed I was going to be there the rest of my life. And for different reasons, things just didn't work out there. And I found myself unemployed. And I went through about 10 years of unemployment, underemployment, just trying to find a really good fit. And it never really happened. Finally, I took a job in route sales. It was great because I went to work very, very early in the morning. And usually I was done by about noon. But the bad thing about it is I was in my mid-40s at the time thinking, you know what? Physically, this is not a long-term kind of thing. This is not something I can see myself doing until retirement. So I needed to find something else. I had always been interested in IT. And so I decided that, you know what, since I get off so early in the day, I was going to do what was necessary to learn my IT skills, make them much stronger. And when I felt I was ready, I threw some ads up on Craigslist and made a Facebook page and just started my IT business. That was in about 2010. And my goal was that by 2015, I was going to make this a full-time gig. So, I had a job that was paying all my bills. So the money that I was making while doing this as a side hustle, I saved all that money. And I started this business really on a shoestring. I didn't invest a lot. I advertised on Craigslist because it's free. And that's how I started it. Fast forward a couple years. So the end of 2012, everything was going along. I was starting to make a little bit of money, saving most of that money. And again, the goal was 2015 to go full time. But in November of 2012, company that I was working for filed for bankruptcy and shut their doors. So at that point, I decided, okay, well, do I try to find another job and hope that it fits around my schedule to continue to do the IT, or do I just go full time right now and hope for the best? And I did. I went full time, and I got to be honest. Those first couple years, they were a little tight, and I even so that first Christmas, I took a job at FedEx, delivering for Christmas. And the same thing, I would try to fit in my customers on the evenings or the weekends, but I needed to keep surviving. So my side hustle had a side hustle at that point. But that got me through Christmas, and after the beginning of the year, I just, I kept pushing again, trying to keep everything as shoestring as I could. I didn't spend any money to improve my business. Probably could have gone better had I done that, but I didn't have the money to do it. But I kept pushing, and here it is 12 years after the initial idea, and this is what I do every day. And I really don't feel like I go to work anymore. I love what I'm doing. If I was independently wealthy, I would do it for free.
That's okay. Yeah. I love that, Duane. Like, when you think about it, you're building this thing in the background, and it's kind of like, again, it's something on the side. But when somebody takes your ladder away and your career away, or the company closes, or whatever happens, you lose all control over your ability to provide for your family, and you're always at the mercy of someone else. So by having a side hustle, you have something in your back pocket. And I always kind of think of a side hustler as just a person with options. And I just look around to the other people that you would work with, and they don't have something going on to generate some income, and they have no other option. And when that door closes, as it did for you, where do they turn? So I love the idea of having something as a side hustle, and I encourage people to follow your path and to do that as well. How did that make you feel when the company filed for bankruptcy and you had this thing going on in the background? Did you feel more safe in that situation by having that?
That was an interesting time. So my son was 14 at that point. And a few years later, we talked about this, and he was scared to death, but he looked at me and he didn't understand why I wasn't scared to death. And the reason I wasn't scared to death was because, I did have something to fall back on, and I had something that I was building, and I could see where it was going to go. So having that mindset of, I'm building something, it made it so much better. Now, not to say that I wasn't a little concerned, but knowing that all this did was speed up my timeline. So it caused some shuffling where, okay, now I've really got to push, but at the same time, I've got more time to push now. So at that point, knowing that I needed to really make it happen, I started looking for other free ways to advertise my business. I got involved with networking groups. And I went on meetup.com. And at the time, meetup.com had just tons and tons of business groups. And I'd see groups that were in my area, and I would go to those groups and meet people, and things started happening. What I found in the business world is that, especially with entrepreneurs, they are really willing to help out other people. So I went to these, I told people what was going on, what I was trying to do, and they would introduce me to more people and things like that. And it just, my business really started moving forward. So really, when I lost my job, I wasn't starting at zero. I was starting at maybe, 20%. So great. I didn't have as high to climb to actually get to a place of comfort. So, that was really my first experience with a side hustle. Most of the jobs that I had had previous to that job had been management jobs where, first of all, it would have been really frowned upon had they known that I had a side hustle. And when you're in management, you're spending a whole lot of time. You really, a lot of times, don't have time where you could even do a side hustle. So I was fortunate that when this all happened, I was in a job where I did have that opportunity, and I did see it coming and took advantage of the opportunity to create a side hustle. Side hustle really came into play again during the pandemic. And actually, during the pandemic, I wrote a book. And the book is called Lessons from the Business Heroes of the Pandemic. Now, being in IT, I was deemed essential. So my business, I never missed a beat. But I had a lot of friends that had businesses that they really suffered during the pandemic. And I knew other people that had jobs that, they were deemed unessential. And they really suffered during the pandemic. And so one chapter of my book is actually dedicated to side hustles. And it's basically called Everybody Needs a Side Hustle. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. So in that, nice. I talked about a lot of different types of side hustles. One that a lot of people do, and I've known some people that have done this successfully, MLM, the multi-level marketing. This is like the Amways, the Mary Kay's. Yeah. I actually know a woman that she started Mary Kay about 30 years ago when she had a full-time job, and then she had kids, couldn't really make it all work, but she wanted to do something, got involved with Mary Kay, and 35 years later, she is a major director. She told me the other day that she has actually won 16 cars through Mary Kay.
Wow.
And this all started as a side hustle for her. Since then, she has had hundreds of women that she's introduced this to. Many of them have taken that on as their own side hustle, and many of them have gone on to success with it. Other side hustles, of course, driving for Uber or Lyft, or, now you've got the Uber Eats and all of those types of things, which the great thing about that, you think you don't have time. Well, guess what? With those, you log onto the app when you want to. And if you don't want to today, you don't. And when you log onto the app, then you're live and you go to work. So, there's some really good things. Couple people that I want to talk about that were in my book. So there was a woman that I saw her advertisement on Facebook. She created Elf on the Shelf kits. Now, are you familiar with the Elf on the Shelf?
Oh, that thing freaks me out all the time. I love it. Yeah.
So what she did, she would come up with scenarios of place the elf here, and she would even include with it props that you could use. So you buy this kit from her. She delivers it around Thanksgiving. And, you're all set for all those days of Christmas to be able to move the elf around. And, she's got you all set. Now, granted, this side hustle, she probably couldn't turn this into a big business and make this her only thing. But I guarantee you she is having much better Christmases because she's created this side hustle. Another guy that I've known this guy for years, and he's always been a Lego enthusiast. And in fact, he found a newsletter that every month talks about all the different Lego kits and stuff that come out. But one really important thing that it lists is kits that are being discontinued. So when he sees these kits that are being discontinued, he goes to the store and he looks at them and evaluates them, decides, I think this kit is still going to be very popular. So he buys them all up. Well, the nice thing about it is usually by that time they're on clearance. So he's paying, a lot less than he normally would for these. And then he holds on to them. And maybe 5-6 months later, after it's completely gone, he'll throw them up on eBay. And he's been doing this for years. He has used this money to take his family of 5 to Disneyland numerous times, all through this side hustle that he really does completely on the side. It doesn't take him very much time at all. It's something that he's interested in anyway. So, when you say side hustle, it's not just going and getting a part-time job. It's a lot of times it is something entrepreneurial, but it doesn't even have to be that. There are so many sports leagues for kids all over the place, and they rely on people to learn how to be referees. And in fact, there's classes that you can take to be referees for these leagues, and you'll get paid to do it. So if you really enjoy sports, Google it. You'll find these classes. Once you have the classes, a lot of times they'll even help you find the leagues where now you've got this, you can go and be involved in sports with kids. And, it's great. You're teaching the kids great things about teamwork and all that, keeping these sports safe for the kids. And in the process, you're getting paid to do it. So, there's just so many things. My daughter at one point, she was in college and she wanted to make some extra money. She got involved with, I think it was rover.com, which it's basically a dog walking app. So all she would have to do, very similar to the Uber apps, you pop open the app and you say, okay, I'm in this area. And okay, here's some people that need their dogs walked. The nice thing about those, once you do walk these dogs a couple times, these people a lot of times will reach right out to you or make sure that they're requesting you. So now you've got recurring revenue. You're not having to, hope that you can find ones. Okay, I know that every Tuesday at 9 a.m., I'm going to go walk Fido over at this place. So if, anything that you're interested in, there's childcare that works very similar to that rover.com. And again, if you can't find something, Google it. I'm sure there's something out there. They say there's an app for that. Yeah, there's all kinds of apps for that. There's if you're creative, there's the Fiverr, the Elance, all those kind of things. So yeah, it's never ending, really.
Yeah, and with the advent of the COVID, actually pushed a lot of people in technology to kind of adopt Zoom and adopt all this online stuff where they might not have done this before or have done it so quickly. It's kind of opened the door for people to do things from their homes, after hours, whenever they want to. Just like you mentioned with all the apps, it just creates a whole new world for people that want something on the side. So, Duane, if somebody's thinking, hey, I would love to do this, but I don't know where to start, and I don't know if I'm going to be good at this, any suggestions for somebody who's hasn't made the leap yet into a side hustle? What should we do?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is, what are you interested in? Let's find a hobby. Maybe you can take a hobby that you're doing and turn that into a side hustle. Yep. Especially if you have any entrepreneurial genes in your body, there are so many options there. If you've been, let's say you've been knitting baby boots for friends whenever they have a child, and you always do this for people. Go to Etsy.com, set up a store, take pictures of stuff that you're done, and you might get orders for more of that. So that's, and there's no end to really what you can do. My son-in-law at one point, he saw these wine bottles that people were putting lights in them and selling them for ridiculous amounts of money. And he likes to drink wine. So he thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll do this and throw that up on Etsy. So what are you interested in? Whatever you're interested in, go for it. Another use of a side hustle is I'm thinking about making a change, but I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. Okay, great. Is it something that you can do part-time while you haven't left what you're currently doing? You can do this new thing part-time to discover if you truly enjoy it and want to pursue it full-time and beyond. So that's another good reason to do a side hustle. So, if you're entrepreneurial, go that route. If you have no desire to go out on your own, go deliver pizzas. They're always looking for pizza delivery people, especially on Friday and Saturday nights. There's opportunities there. Baristas, if you enjoy coffee, you can usually pick up some side hustle shifts doing something like that. So it's endless. It's really, what are you interested in, and go from there. Actually, you know what? I lied. I did do a side hustle prior to what turned into my full-time gig. In the early 2000s, I've always enjoyed doing taxes. And I saw an advertisement where H&R Block had classes. And you could take these classes, and then if you passed the classes, they would actually hire you for tax season. So I did have a full-time job, nice. But a couple evenings a week, I was going and doing taxes. And I actually did that for 2 years. Didn't work out with my scheduling past that, but for 2 years I was doing something I loved and making some money doing it. What I found out was that, I was good with doing the simple returns, but some of the more complicated returns, wow, you know what? No thanks. So rather than trying to start a career in that, I did the side hustle thing. And you know what? I discovered that particular one wasn't for me. So again, another good reason to try something in a side hustle.
So Duane, what about the people that might be listening to this saying, well, I've never had a side hustle and I'm in a job that's secure. I'm just going to retire here and everything's going to be fine. Nothing will ever happen to me. My company's great. Like my role is great. My company's great. Again, I just have this nagging thing in the back of my mind that says, when you're working for somebody, you're working for somebody, and you're at the mercy of whatever could happen in life. And how do we encourage somebody to say, listen, maybe a side hustle is not for everyone. I would encourage it, but for those that are kind of like, I don't know if I really, I've got interest, but I don't know if I want to pursue them as something on the side. What is the value then, the big value to having a side hustle from your point of view?
Well, so I addressed this in that same chapter in my book. And let me just remind you about a few companies, okay? If you're around our age, you're probably familiar with Blockbuster Video, okay? Blockbuster Video, at one point, they had over 9,000 stores. I swear there was one on every corner, everywhere you went.
Yeah.
There was a Blockbuster Video. But the problem was that they didn't adapt. They didn't change with the times. And the last I heard, there's one Blockbuster Video in Bend, Oregon, that is still open.
Yeah.
Okay, so from 9,000 down to one store. So how many people do you think worked at those 9,000 stores? There was an awful lot of people. Not to mention the area managers, the people in the home office, the whole infrastructure of this company just gone, and it went away very quick. Similar business, Hollywood Video, they had about 2,500 stores, and their last store closed, I think it was in, 2009 or something like that, after a bankruptcy filing. So you just never know. Let's talk about some retailers. So Sears has been around for now over 120 years. At one point during the heyday of Sears, you could literally buy a house in the Sears catalog.
Yep.
They would send it to you on a train. And it's funny because if you know what those houses look like, if you go through older areas of cities, you will still see some of those houses. But Sears is kind of on the ropes. They are they're almost closed. They hooked up with Kmart when both companies were dying, and they're still both dying. And it's very rare that you see either one of them around anymore. So just because you're working for a company and it seems really solid right now, it doesn't mean that 5, 10, 20 years from now, it's still going to be a solid company. So, boy, I encourage anybody that I see, think about some type of side hustle. Think about something to fall back on, because you just never know. And if you're working for a company and it seems strong, but you hear any rumblings at all, I would definitely at that point try to find some type of side hustle. And again, that could be entrepreneurial, that could be something that you're doing as a hobby now, could be another part-time job. But, like I said in my book, don't put all of your eggs in one basket, because there is no basket that is so strong that it cannot break. And, that's been proven again and again. And usually it's nothing to do with you. You did nothing wrong, but situations change. This world is changing so fast today. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring?
That's right. It's amazing. Duane, where do people find your book? Like, as we're talking about this, I'm like, there's so many people that would love to get this book into their hands. Where do people find this?
Yeah, so my book, it's on Amazon, and it's real simple. Just go to Amazon and search for Lessons from the Business Heroes of the Pandemic. It's available in a Kindle edition and a paperback edition. It's about 150 pages. It's a quick, easy read, but it's packed with ideas like this and stories of people that have made some changes and made it work. During the pandemic, which is a perfect example of why people need a side hustle. There were so many people, so many businesses that did a pivot and, made it out in a much better place because of that. So it's worth taking a look at.
Amazing. What's the response been to the book, Duane?
Everybody that has read it has loved it. I've had people that have said, "Hey, great! Are you doing more?" And actually, I am. I've got a couple other ideas that I'm working on. So I really enjoyed the writing process, and I write. It's nonfiction. It is positive mental attitude. I love that kind of stuff, and so that's how I write a book. And I include a lot of stories. So this is how this person did it. So you can look at it and say, wow, I could do that too.
So looking back, over the years, again, way before side hustles were part of your life and your thoughts, did you think you'd be an author as well?
No, I never did. And I'll be honest with you, even though I love my job now and love what I do, being an author is actually a new side hustle that I started during the pandemic. So there's no end to it.
I love it. I love your brain, Duane.
If you have any, if you have any thoughts, anything that you want to do, you can turn into a side hustle. I know, again, during the pandemic, there were people that, there was a woman, she had made some videos with her kids just talking about different things, and she threw them up on YouTube, and one of them went viral. So they kept doing it. And it started as a side hustle, but, she ended up making some decent money out of it, and I think she used that money for the kids' college funds. So, you never know. Do what you love, and there's something out there that you can do it. I've known people that they enjoy doing karaoke, and while doing karaoke, they ran into other people, and they thought, hey, maybe we should join a band, start a band, and anything you enjoy doing, there's probably a way that you could turn that into a side hustle. So, look around and try it. Books. Let's talk about books again. When I was looking for ways to market my book, of course, I started a Facebook page. I started an Instagram account for my book. And I had a number of people reach out to me and said, hey, for $50, I'll read and review your book and put the review on my page that has 10,000 followers. So there you go. There's another side hustle. So this person that loves to read books turned that into a side hustle. Like I said, anything you can think to do, you can turn it into a side hustle.
I love how you have multiple layers of side hustles, Duane. Like this side hustle becomes this, and then I have time for this side hustle. It's like you're climbing your own ladder, which is what I like. Going back to what we talked about at the beginning, during the pandemic, somebody's holding your ladder, your boss, your company, whoever. You're climbing your corporate ladder, but at any point during that process, they could just stop holding the ladder or take the ladder away or walk away, and you're left on your own to figure out what to do next. And I know I've carried the box out to the car at the end of my career at certain places and went, wow, I've just invested my whole time, my life, my passion into this company. And I'm walking out with this little box from my desk and going, now what? So to be able to do something for myself has always been a dream. And it's kind of why we have the podcast as well. And to talk to great people like you and get some inspiration. And I think the book, too, Duane, is going to really help a lot of people just to focus their thoughts and their attention towards what interests them and what they can make money from by pursuing their passions. And I think I love how you've built this just to help other people. That's outstanding.
I look at this as we're all in this together, and we got to help each other out and do what we can to further things for everybody. I really believe that, and I know there's been a lot of people that have said that if you help enough people reach their goals, you'll reach yours. So that's what I like to live by. And I like to give people ideas on different ways they can do that. So
that's great. And you're an enabler, you're a connector, you're all those words, those fancy words, and just an all around great guy, Duane. How do people find you? Where do you live online, Duane, that people can track you down, have a conversation, and maybe discuss your next book?
I'm all over Facebook, Duane McHodgkins. Nice thing about having a name like this, there's only one of me. It's very easy to find me. Nice. I also have a page for my book. It's Business Hero Book that can be found on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Instagram, Business Hero Book. There also.
Excellent. We'll make sure we put links to everything in the show notes so people can find you. One last thing, Duane. How do we? What's your big inspiration for people this week? What can we do this week to help our side hustle grow? Any kind of fertilizer that we can add to our side hustle and make it better?
Oh boy. The biggest thing is don't be afraid to try something. If you get out of your comfort zone a little bit, you will be amazed how far you can go. There are so many people that say, wow, I would love to do that. And then they go back and sit on their couch and watch TV. So what would happen if instead of doing that, one night a week, you went out and did something else to try and better yourself, prepare for the future? What would happen? So just take that away. Take that first step and you'll be amazed. If you don't do it, 5 years from now, you'll be in the same place. If you take that first step, where will you be in 5 years? You might be amazed to find out where that is.
The journey starts today. Thanks, Duane. Thank you for being part of the podcast. And I'm so excited to share this with my audience and all the listeners that follow us each week. So your words of inspiration are going to help a lot of people. And the book as well is out there for people to purchase, support you. And, as your journey continues, I'd love to have you come back and let's continue the conversation as well.
I would love to do that. Thanks for having me on here, Dave.
Awesome. Thanks, Duane. The podcast is over. Thank you for being a part of this episode. If this is your very first episode, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. You can go back in our catalog. You can see some of the past episodes. But if you want to get a sneak peek of what's coming, you want to jump the line? I got something for you. Go to our YouTube channel. Again, links are in the show notes and on our website, livingthenextchapter.com, and you can go to our YouTube channel and get the most recent episode way before everybody else. So we're putting this at the end of the podcast because we don't want to tell everyone. We don't want to have a stampede, But we're having some great conversations over on our YouTube channel. You're invited. You've been here this far. You're the one listening. You are invited to our YouTube channel. Go over there and you can see the most up-to-date episodes in real time. Meet you over there. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.